Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Christina.
And I'm Nicole. On our podcast, we delve into the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
That's right, Nicole. Our podcast is all about exploring those fundamental truths and practices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
Yes, Christina, we want to make metaphysical concepts easy to understand and accessible, especially for those who don't have a ton of time to do all the research.
Right? We'll do the research as well as share our experiences and perspectives, hoping to empower you, our listener, to find balance and magic in your day-to-day.
Inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root, let's explore the roots of well-being and self-healing together.
This is The Radical with Christina and Nicole, two metaphysical girls in the material world.
Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Nicole.
And this is Christina.
Today we're talking about the zodiac sign, Cancer, and I'm so excited to talk about Cancer today. We have tons of notes, listeners.
We might have too many notes.
We are going to go through Christina's list in the first segment. In the second segment, I have some notes on Cancer and emotional regulation and Jupiter moving into Cancer in June this month. And that is where Jupiter is exalted. So I'm excited to talk about that as well. We'll talk about Cancer in our birth charts. And then today's messages from the universe are from the Archangel Oracle deck by Christina Aroche. And I have 3 cards pulled. And I'm excited because I have never drawn these 3 cards from this deck. So these are like brand new energies coming through.
That is so fun when that happens. I was wrapping my head around Cancer and I digging into the symbology and the history and really putting it all together. The correspondences, the time of the year, the symbology, and I found 3 quotes that might become part of the title of this episode. The first one is, home is what you take with you, not what you leave behind. Okay, that's quote 1. Quote 2, every day is a journey, and the journey itself is home. Okay. And then this I haven't heard this one before, and it's been around for a while, and it's a proverb, and it's home wasn't built in a day. That was like, okay, I think that might be kind of where I am trying to put everything together with Cancer. Because in my head, I had it very literally as your physical house. And as I have been going through my list, I'm feeling it much more as a journey and much more about what we have inside of us and much more the process of building our home. Home in quotation marks, whatever that home is going to be. But let's get into it. I see, Nicole, you're thinking about it's
really like that part of the second quote that says the journey itself is home.
The journey itself is home. Yeah. And we'll talk about why. Okay, let's go down the list. Save it for the podcast. That's what Nicole said to me before we hit record, because I wanted to tell her all these things. And she's like, nope, save it. Okay. My list starts with the dates for Cancer season in 2025 is June 20th to July 22nd. And within those dates, we have the summer solstice on June 20th. This is the day of the longest hours of daylight and the shortest night. The Sabbath for the pagan religions and the earth-based spirituality is Letha or midsummer, and it's considered the peak of the sun's power. It's a time of celebration, manifestation. Okay, the new moon in Cancer on June 25th. And we have the full moon during this Cancer season on July 10th. And that's called the full buck moon because the Native Americans would see that the male deer have their antlers rapidly growing during this time of year. They would shed their old and then the new antlers would be coming up. So they called it the full buck moon. But it also could be called the thunder moon due to storms, berry moon, raspberry moon, or salmon moon, all connected with what was happening in nature during that time. The energy of the season is the beginning of summer and a fresh start. But the longest day of the year is on the 20th of June. So that means after the summer solstice, we're actually in a decrease of daylight. Yes, the heart of summer and this beginning of summer is actually the beginning of winter. It's actually a decrease. The days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer. And guess what? My favorite time of the year, the harvest celebrations and harvest season is right around the corner. We will be carving pumpkins in no time. The ruler planet is the moon. Exalted is Jupiter, as Nicole just mentioned. The detriment is Saturn, and the fall is Mars. Element water. Quality cardinal. This is associated with the cardinal signs and also with the fourth house, as we remember when we were talking about the birth charts, is one of the 4 cardinal points on that circular birth chart. The polarity is yin and negative. The chakra associated with Cancer is the third eye. Intuition, insight, and spiritual awareness. Do you want to hear something that I discovered today, Nicole?
Yes.
One of the charts that I've seen about aligning the chakras with the zodiac signs, and I'm sure there's more. This is just the one that I've seen that I feel resonates the strongest with me, has the third eye chakra in Cancer at the summer solstice, which is a birth and a beginning. Then that energy, like the next sign, will be moving, well, we'll stay in Leo for third eye, but then after Leo, we're moving back down the body. We're moving down the spine, down the energy field until we get to the root in Capricorn at the winter solstice. So that's how the chakra energy moves through the zodiac. It's one of the many journeys within the journeys, parallel journeys, hero's journey, energetic journeys that are all part of our metaphysical experience. But that clicked in me today. Third eye, summer solstice, down to the root, winter solstice. It's one of the energetic journeys.
Interesting.
Yeah. You'll be thinking about that one. I'm telling you, you'll be thinking about that one. The day of the week is Monday for the moon. It's a day for connecting with inner wisdom, nurturing our emotions, working on the energies of the moon, dream work, fertility, home life. The number is 2 for balance, interconnectedness, and intuition. The body parts for Cancer are the breasts and the stomach. The color for Cancer is white, silver, gray, pearls, moonstones, and shells, all those iridescent and incandescent gemstones and colors. The metal silver. Silver is a very powerful metal. Maybe we should do a whole podcast just on, we could do a season of metallurgy, and then we can go through all the metals. Do a podcast on each one. That would be fun. silver reflects negative energies, it promotes emotional balance. It's associated with witchcraft, with intuition, psychic abilities. It's connected to the moon and the lunar cycle. Just amazing metal.
There's also a form of silver that you can take like medicinally, like
Yeah.
ingest it, which I have done before. I don't remember my ailment at that time, but I did take drops. They
Yeah.
were like little drops that you, took
So
as medicine.
let's research that for the silver podcast. For the season of metallurgy. We do all the metals. Okay, this is where I had the most fun. Symbology and mythology on Cancer. Cancer, as a word, has a root in Indo-European origin, derived from the meaning to scratch. In ancient Egypt, the sign of Cancer was actually a scarab beetle or water beetle. I've read two different things on that. And in Mesopotamia, it was a turtle. So the theme here is a shelled animal that has a connection with water and earth. That's generally what most of them had in common when talking about this particular constellation, Cancer, which is known now as Cancer. Early representations, I think we've seen it on our tarot cards, are crayfish and lobsters. It didn't really become the crab until the Greek influence and the Greek mythology of our Karkinos, the crab that was part of the Hercules legends and the Hercules mythology. And Cancer, that word is Latin for the crab. And the crab itself as an animal stands as a symbol of resilience, adaptability, and protection. I kept digging and digging and digging. I was looking for something a little more that made sense to me, that why, as a culture, it needed to be a shelled water animal, water and land animal. So I looked up shelled animals, particularly those with hard protective shells. And it was like seashells and turtles and like crabs, lobsters. And they represent a, like this protective nature and this resilience and a journey. And it mostly has to do with this idea that their home is on their back, particularly with the turtle, that they're carrying their home with them everywhere they go. That is what our human culture has impressed upon shelled animals, that hard shell is a protection, but it is also their living space, also their home. Shelled animals can also represent femininity, the womb, and fertility, as well as love, luck, and good fortune. And many cultures, with turtles and shelled animals, spiritual paths, and safe journeys, and the interconnectedness of all living things. And that has to do with that protection and with that home on your back, that no matter where you are, you've got your home with you.
I wrote down the hermit crab.
Yes, yeah.
For that precise reason. The hermit crab not only carries its home on its back, but it moves into new homes on its lifelong growth journey. It moves into bigger shells. It literally will abandon one shell and move into another bigger shell. And so that quote, that second quote Christina read, the journey itself is home.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of the hermit crab. The shell needs to be light enough for the crab to walk around and the right size for protection to withdraw into when needed. And sensitivity is something, a characteristic linked to Cancer. And I sort of think of sensitivity in the sense that, or in the way that animals often perceive an earthquake before humans do. It's like this deep in tuneness of what's going on in nature. And it's that sensitivity that's connected to literal protection on a survival level. So I have this image of like the hermit crab or the turtle rapidly withdrawing into their shell when they perceive
Mm-hmm.
danger. And then I just have a quick note here that boundaries keep things in and out. So if we use the shell as a metaphor for boundaries with us as humans, like our metaphorical shell, we want our shells to be just right, like the hermit crabs. We don't
Mm-hmm.
want our boundaries or our shells too big and too strong that we keep connection away, but we don't want them so weak that we're being reactionary or overly emotional or venting all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah. I developed a whole better understanding of the symbology of the crab, of shelled animals, and the shell itself, and the connection between water and land. And I let go of my point of view where the home was a physical place. And now I see it very, very, very much as a internal spiritual place. And like the
Mm-hmm.
shell that we're carrying could be your aura, it could be your energetic field, it could be just your strong mental disposition. And also, like, if we're carrying too much, like, you can't also haul everything around with you all the time, all that emotional baggage and all of your memories and all of your history and all of your worries and all of your frets about the future and all your frets about the past.
Yes.
That's part of this shell as well, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
allow it to breathe.
Yeah. It has to be the just right
Just right.
size.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was so much fun. I mean, I really enjoyed digging into that. The summer solstice is the beginning of the solar year, as is one of the beginnings of the solar year. You can look at it depending on your point of view. In Cancer, the maternal, the yin, the watery cardinal sign, primordial beginnings, creation and chaos themes come with the Cancer symbology. And with the deep association with the water and the creation, deities, particularly creative goddesses, the first goddesses, Gaia in the Greek culture, Isis and Mut in Egypt, and Sumer, the oldest goddess of the sea, Namu, in India, Shakti. And this is about creation and destruction, about light and dark. They're the source of life. Like I said, they're a primordial space where they're not good in quotation marks. They're not bad in quotation marks. They just are. So, what happened to these primordial goddesses? And this is a quote that I took from Jessica Davison off of her website, jessicadavison.uk. This process is shown in the evolution of mythology where the ancient mothers were overthrown by sun gods and heroes. These myths mark the rise of the new patriarchal order, but they also represent an important psychological milestone in the development of our consciousness, the birth of the ego.
Mm.
Carcinos the crab was crushed under the heel of Hercules. Carcinos was associated with Hera, the wife, the mother goddess. In Greek is when all the patriarchal things started being applied to all the myths I personally grew up with. I really enjoyed digging deeper. When you look at the Cancer crab and you look at the shell and you look at why the water, why is it yin in the summer solstice? This is why. Because it's a story of two. And I don't think that one is overcoming the other. It's that we're finding the balance between that water creative force and that sun projective for projective yang energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the glyph, if you've seen it on your devices, it's two sixes or two nines or a 6 and a 9 uh, side by side. And this, in my head, were the crab claws. But I read somebody's point of view that it stands for the women's breasts, which show nurturing qualities of the signs, but also two spirals or sideways sixes, the symbolizing the crab's claws as they hold their claws in front of themselves when they're walking around, but also a cyclical nature of the moon. So a few different ideas on that glyph. The constellation itself is next to Hydra. And at a time, there used to be a belief that that constellation was the entrance, the threshold into this world. At the summer solstice, that was a portal of birth, of coming into the world, source of life, that goddess primordial birth story. And incidentally, the Capricorn constellation is the exit because they're opposites. I just found that out today. I want to dig into that a little bit more. Listen to this. There's a beehive star cluster located within Cancer. Have you ever heard of that beehive star cluster?
No.
It was known to the ancients as a weather marker. And essentially what it is, it's one of the nearest open clusters of stars. It contains a large population of stars that can be seen under dark skies, and it looks like a small, like you can't see them separately, but it looks like a little nebulous object. And the classical astronomer Ptolemy described it as a nebulous mass in the breast of Cancer. And it was one of the first objects that Galileo studied with his telescope. It was a cluster of stars that could be seen with the naked eye that had our ancient ancestors mystified, but it was always in Cancer. A beehive star cluster.
Wow.
Fourth house. The fourth house is I feel. That's the mantra of that house. And it's home, security, family, private, roots of things associated with mother, your life as a child, the unconscious. So we're getting deeper and deeper into those murky Cancer waters. And this is, I just recently found out that there are tarot cards for the houses. And the tarot card for the fourth house is the Queen of Cups, which absolutely makes sense to me.
Yeah, for sure.
The virtues of Cancer, they're healers. Homey, sensitive, maternal, jovial, imaginative, idealistic, affectionate, thoughtful, romantic, and flirtatious, sweet, expressive, and caring. Those are all balanced vibrations and attributes of Cancer. Cancer. Now, what are people who are Cancerians? What is the word for? Is that right?
Cancerian.
But also Cancer energy when we're in this time of year. Flaws, or when this energy is unbalanced or this energy is really low: insecure, lazy, spiteful, withdrawn, fanciful, contradictory. I've come across that a couple times with Cancer, of being very contradictory. Wasteful, sentimental, apprehensive, hypochondrial, cranky, and having mood swings. So you can see that. That unbalanced, overly high or overly low Cancer energy. Tarot cards, the Chariot. It took me a little while to put the Chariot and Cancer together. I didn't understand the connection until I found those three quotes that I said, and then I got it. Home wasn't built in a day. Every day is a journey, and the journey itself is home. And home is what you take with you, not what you leave behind. That Chariot imagery, almost to me, is like that actual hermit crab with the shell. You look at the card, and generally it's a entity being pulled in something or riding on the back of a horse or some sort of other animal. There's an element of forward motion, of traveling, of journeying. of carrying things with you. Almost all the cards that I've seen in the imagery of it have been like that. The Chariot: control, willpower, success, self-assertion, determination, victory, and movement. Take charge, reach for the stars. If you're looking at this card and you're resistant, or you don't even know what this card is supposed to mean to you, ask yourself, where do I want to go?
And I've heard with the Chariot too, in addition to movement, just like a hermit crab, you're ready for movement. So it's movement or being ready for movement. And if you're not in a state of motion, then your home, your shell, your chariot is the protective structure while you prepare for movement. It's the structure and protection while growing something new, which is very yin, that nurturing essence. There's a readiness for movement and simultaneous retreat and protection that I feel with the Chariot.
And that is Cancer. That is that lobster, that crayfish, that turtle. That is Cancer. That's it. I was able to put the two together. That's a major arcana card. The minor arcana cards are cups. Two of Cups is Venus in Cancer. Unified love, partnership, mutual attraction, heart's reflection. You can ask yourself the question, how can I cultivate boundaries? Three of Cups, Mercury in Cancer. And this is celebration, friendships, creativity, collaborations, and mutual support. You can ask yourself, how can I reflect the light in others? It's a good way to think about mutual support and friendships. Four of Cups, Moon in Cancer. That's all kinds of yin energy right there. And that is apathy, contemplation, disconnection. Stay open to the unexpected, but remove personal blinders. What you can ask yourself when you are resistant to this card is, how can I look beyond the current situation? Those are the tarot cards. And that is my list. I kind of winded around there a little bit, tried to connect some dots in my own mind on some ways to look beyond what we might have thought Cancer zodiac sign was and what it represented, and dig a little deeper.
I definitely have a greater appreciation for Cancer after doing this research. Cancer and emotional regulation. And these are practical notes inspired by Cancer. Expecting too much from ourselves, being overly productive, suppressing and ignoring our emotions and our emotional needs to the extreme can lead to anxiety, depression, uncontrollable emotional outbursts, feeling unstable, ungrounded, and even physical disease. So, Cancer teaches us the importance of letting emotions move and flow through us, but then out of us, because we can't carry everything in our shell. We have limited space. We need to keep our shells light. Not all self-care or rescue remedies are meant for all types of emotional reactions. For example, in our nervous system, in our survival system, we have fight, flight, and freeze. If you're having a flight response, meditation may not be the best response, because if you think about it, in real life, you wouldn't actually stop to meditate if you're fleeing a predator or danger. It's important that we resolve or conclude an emotional response. When we don't, that's when trauma is created and stored in the body, which later shows up as chronic pain and chronic disease. So if you're feeling a fight response, throw a pillow on the ground or scream into a pillow. Let that energy move out. Flight response, moving energy through the body with movement. You can go for a walk, go for a run, something where you're actually moving your body helps that response clear out.
I just had a mental image of doing jumping jacks. I don't know why that came
Yeah,
into my mind, but
yeah,
jumping jacks are a way to release energy quickly. Well, for me, because it's a lot of work to do jumping jacks, but there's like you could do push-ups. I love how you said that like sitting down and meditating is not the right answer when you're in that mind state. That makes so much sense to me. But I don't know if I've really heard people say that a lot. Take a breath and count to 10. Yeah, that might work, but you might need to like do some push-ups. Like
right.
you might need something else. That is such a good point. That is such a good point.
Yes. And I think a lot of times I have a flight response. I think that's one of my defaults is I just need to get out of here. In relationships, it gets tricky because then you're dealing with other people's issues and they're like, I don't like when you leave the room. It makes me feel abandoned. And sometimes I'm like, I just need to like walk down the hall and come back because that signals to my body that I'm doing something.
Mhm.
But the key here is, I think, recognizing that there's different responses that our nervous system has. And then we, through kind of self awareness, need to start figuring out how we respond to
Mhm.
ourselves in those situations. And another one for me that's pretty common is freeze, where you kind of shut down. And that is a state where angry music is probably going to feel more threatening,
Mhm.
or trying to do a run is going to feel like way, 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 way too much. And meditation is probably going to shut you down more.
Mhm.
So that's where gentle movement, gentle yoga, rocking yourself is helpful from a physiological standpoint. Okay, Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter enters its exalted placement in Cancer in June 2025 on the 9th. So when this recording comes out, Jupiter will be in Cancer. All of the outer planets are changing signs in about an 8-month time span. And this
Crazy.
started, I know, very rare for this convergence. It started with Pluto in November of 2024 entering Aquarius. Neptune entered Aries on March 30th of this year, and Saturn followed pretty quickly thereafter. May 24th, Saturn entered Aries. Our next planet changing signs is our Jupiter, and Uranus will enter Gemini on July 7th. Jupiter will stay in Cancer for 1 year. It will go through a retrograde in November and December of 2025, but Jupiter ultimately stays in Cancer through June 30th, 2026.
Mm.
And Christina talked about it with the sun being the yang sort of force or energy, but Jupiter is a yang planet and it's exalted, aka it functions at its best in the yin sign of Cancer.
That balance.
I actually wrote about this. And, what does Jupiter know that our society can't seem to grasp? You have the largest planet in our solar system, which is a yang planet, exalted in a yin sign. I mean, there is just so much metaphor
Yeah.
there, so much meaning. And it's like, I think our patriarchal society could take some notes. But
Mm-hmm.
some other themes, Jupiter and Cancer themes, include sort of this energy of love, softness, sweetness, and nurturance. And I wrote, if this feels difficult or vulnerable, risky, kind of given our society and our political environment, I heard an astrologer say this: consider these states of being acts of resistance, many acts of rebellion,
Mm-hmm.
being loving, soft, and nurturing. Even if those are energies that you kind of show yourself within your shell, within your chariot, within your home. Jupiter in Cancer also suggests that meaning and purpose will be found in and through marriage, home, and the family. But I love that the fourth house, which is the house Cancer rules and is sort of the about the home,
Mm-hmm.
it's the home that we choose. It's the family we choose. And it's about constructing structures that make us feel safe. So it doesn't have to be literal blood family
Mm-hmm.
or your physical home. It is structures of safety. It's your hermit crab shell.
Home is what you take with you, not what you leave behind.
Yes. Exactly. Meaning and purpose will be found also through land and nature, especially sort of approaching or coming into relationship with land and nature in a kind of stewardship or devotional type way, taking care of the land, nurturing the
Mm.
land, feminine themes and qualities, the essences of the goddesses that Christina mentioned earlier, and embodied learning. So, things to do with our physicality and learning through sort of tactile
Mm.
means. It is also some themes deal with the past, our ancestry, memory, but sort of like collective memory, connecting the past to what came before us. And I love this archiving, archaeology. Also, nest building, safety, the shell, the
Mm-hmm.
chariot, that definitely makes sense. Matriarchal leadership and the archetypes of the empress and the high priestess, and science as it pertains to the body and public health. So I am just feeling this energy of like a matriarchal type renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
Science as it pertains to the body, because it's Jupiter in Cancer. I hope it's a proliferation of research in women's health, much needed, and balancing more women in leadership, matriarchal leadership, and the recognition of the importance and the strengths of the yin essence, which clearly Jupiter has done. And hopefully that will trickle down from the cosmos onto Earth. That's what I hope for
Yes.
this year of Jupiter being exalted in Cancer. So in my birth chart, my Mercury is in Cancer in the ninth house of metaphysics, purpose, and long distance travel. I have a lot of other placements in my birth chart that indicate wounding around speaking out, being heard, or being like kind of emotionally too much,
Hmm.
which is kind of like the low vibe of a Mercury in Cancer placement. The lower vibe of this placement suggests retreating into my shell when I become overwhelmed in an emotionally charged conversation. I shut down and I freeze. Absolutely. And I was reading, there's a couple paragraphs that explain this placement in one of my birth charts. And it says that people with this placement are highly aware beings who are able to trust oneself. And that was really interesting that that phrase came up because I have been thinking a lot about what it means to trust myself
Mm-hmm.
lately. And I just learned that trusting myself does not mean that I have to be right about something. I had, for some reason, correlated that if I am to trust myself, I have to be right about the
Okay.
things.
Okay. Huh.
Instead, trusting myself means in part that I'm being honest. And with this placement, kind of like what we were talking about before with our nervous system responses, trusting myself then sometimes sounds like I need to take a break from this right now because that's what's honest and true for me. It takes the right and the wrong out of it for me.
That's some deep. You've been swimming in those waters there.
I
That's
know. I
wow.
know. So, to transmute the lower vibe energy or this sort of this response, the potential here is taking a look and considering my balance between self-protection, my shell, and vulnerability and authenticity, which is like the crab out of its shell, especially when speaking or expressing myself verbally or written. And staying in my body and asking for a break when I become flooded. And I wrote a little note. I said, get it? The water imagery, flooded. Okay, Mercury in Cancer. What's the higher vibration take here? And it's the ability to communicate with sensitivity, softness, and presence. And because this is in my ninth house, in the areas of travel, metaphysics, and purpose, I'm following a new astrologer, and he actually has his Mercury in Cancer. And he said that he has found this placement's great for storytelling, relating astrology and teaching kind of astrological concepts, and being an archivist.
I have Cancer in my birth chart. My Saturn is in Cancer at 19 degrees in the second house.
Mm.
I'm going to read what my open source search said about this. Having Saturn in Cancer at 19 degrees signifies focus on establishing a secure and loving home life, often with a strong sense of family and tradition. It can indicate a deeper emotional connection to relationships, need for validation, and a tendency to seek approval from others. I don't really connect with either of those. It's so interesting what you when you search and you look at things, and then how much you have to kind of like dig through and reflect on to really see what it means to you. And you listeners may have experienced this, or you're beginning to experience this if you're starting to find all this information at your fingertips, that not everything is yours.
Yeah.
You have to find what's yours.
I think something could have been true and it's not true anymore.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I don't relate to a lot of my Sun Leo qualities anymore, but I
Anymore.
used to.
Yep. That's like my son Gemini. I I used to, but I am connecting deeply to my Sagittarius moon right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have a season for everything. What I did relate to was what I also found was you might be drawn to nurturing and protective roles within your family and community. And you're likely motivated by a desire to create a stable and harmonious environment. That is true of me. Stable and harmonious. There was a little note about my karmic path. This was
Mm.
so your karmic path may involve healing emotional wounds, especially around your family. I'm like, yes, yes, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
And learning to care for yourself, care for others without neglecting yourself. Saturn in Cancer. So this coming up in the second house, and the second house is I own. It has to do with what you value, money, land, and wealth. But we just did the affirmation challenge where I came to grips with focusing on symbols and not like the actual meaning of security. I have been working on this right now. Why are we doing this podcast at this moment where I have been talking about value and land and home and security pretty much nonstop for the past 4 or 5 months? Like, this has been something I've been actively working on. I just came up with this string of questions. What do I actually own? And what do I want to own? How do I want to own it? And what does it even mean? I was putting together the Cancer with the crab, the home on their back, as a very physical thing. I was putting the home ownership, my affirmations about my home is my security. I feel I need to drop all of that and see this as a very these physical four walls, this physical home as very transitory, like that symbols, the symbols that we mentioned in the other podcast. And really, my home is my journey. It is not a thing. Well, it's a thing. It's not a space on this planet. It's me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm my home.
Yeah. Journey itself is home.
Yeah. So that was the message I got today when we were doing this. It's so funny how once one awareness, one piece of information comes to light, and then you're ready to understand the next piece. And then you're ready to learn the next piece. And then you start putting all those pieces together. And then next thing you know, we happen to be entering Cancer season. And I am like so ready to set some intention and manifestations at this upcoming summer solstice that are lining up with this journey that I'm on. It's crazy. Universe, I'm listening.
Speaking of, are you ready to listen to 3 additional messages from the
Yes.
universe? Okay. So, 3 cards from the Archangel Oracle. And the first card is Archangel Azrael, Death and Rebirth. You are going through a time of transition, and Archangel Azrael is coming through to support you in this process. You are being guided to let go of what doesn't serve you and to be free in the surrender of where the energy desires to flow. Take some time to grieve what is being shed and released. There is an old identity of you that is no longer meant to exist. You are being asked to release this part of you with compassion and love so that the next version of you may be born. You are being asked to take some time to breathe in the light that Archangel Azrael brings to you. Let it bring healing to the pain and support you as you move through this transition. Most importantly, remember that you are meant for this next level that is ready to come through. The divine is guiding the unfolding of what is to come. Just like in the birth of a child, surrender to the natural flow of energy and how it leads you into your rebirth. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. Channeled message. Dearest one, your grace and power is felt even as you move through this transitional time. Allow yourself to move through the process with ease and slowness. You do not have to rush, even though it may feel uncomfortable. You are rising and becoming a beautiful next version of yourself. Prayer. Dear Archangel Azrael, Please guide me and support me through this transition now. I feel, insert what comes up for you, grief, pain, afraid, etc. And I ask for your support in moving through these emotions. Please help me to see and know the greater truth of this journey. I am ready to integrate the light that is meant to come through from this experience. I am ready to bring to life the truest, most potent version of myself. And so it is. Card 2, Archangel Metatron, Newfound Truth. You are being guided into a deeper awareness of who you are by transmuting old conditioning and beliefs that are not your truth. Archangel Metatron is coming forward to guide you in releasing this conditioning by helping you to see your divine truth and power. Archangel Metatron works with sacred geometry to help you heal, shift, and align with your divine being. The sacred geometry acts as an activator of truth and transmutes old false beliefs, turning them into light and divine power. Call on Archangel Metatron to help you transmute what is not your true self and to reveal to you the newfound truth that is wanting to be revealed at this time. Archangel Metatron is helping you to rise up into this newfound truth, a truth that was always part of your soul and that is there to help you grow and be connected to your powerful potential. See yourself in this truth now and allow it to guide you forward on your journey. Channeled message, dearest one, you are so divinely guided and supported. See yourself now in the truth that your divine being is here to share. Stand firm on this ground as I connect you to the highest truth and potential. Allow this sacred energy to transmute and transform the beliefs that do not serve this higher purpose. You are safe and supported, dearest one. Prayer. Dear Archangel Metatron, please support me and guide me in understanding the limiting beliefs and fears that are holding me back from rising up into my true potential. Help me to let go of what is holding me back so that I may align with my true divine power and purpose. I am ready to let go of this energy and to embrace my truth and my light. I ask that you show me the way and help me to feel connected and supported in the embodiment of my true divine self. And so it is. And our third card, deeper feelings. The only way through is to feel. Message from Archangel Raphael. It's okay to acknowledge the emotions that you're feeling right now. You're not wrong for feeling them. Allow yourself to move through these emotions with deep compassion and love. When we allow ourselves to feel our emotions, we process and release the energy. This card is coming forward to remind you to give yourself permission to feel what's coming up for you. You are not wrong or bad for feeling the way you feel. Your emotional response right now is valid, and it's important to validate that for yourself. What matters most right now is that you know that your emotions are temporary. By feeling through them, you fully release the energy. On the other side of this is the wisdom, guidance, and knowledge that you need to move forward. Archangel Raphael is here for you now to help you acknowledge these emotions and to feel the safety of allowing yourself to process them. Call on Archangel Raphael to help open up your heart space and to process the emotions in any way you feel called: crying, screaming, walking, talking, etc. Sometimes we hold on to a certain feeling because we think it validates our circumstances. If you've been stuck feeling a certain way for a long time, such as fearful, resentful, angry, etc., then calling on Archangel Raphael will help you to fully let go of this emotional energy. He is reminding you now that it's safe to release these emotions and that on the other side that there is profound truth, love, and healing that awaits. Journaling affirmation. My feelings are the gateway to my truth and power. By feeling my emotions, I access the wisdom that is on the other side.
I looked at the cards as past, present, and future.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't pick one. I looked at all three of them through that lens.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're really beautiful. So we'll post
Mm-hmm.
pictures. I really like the color scheme of the deeper feelings card. So thank you, universe, for those messages. And thank you, Cancer season and
Yes.
Jupiter.
Yes. So much to think about, so much to meditate on, and so much more to look up and read about. I'm inspired to look up some different books on some different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Thank you, listeners. We will be back next week. And until then, we love you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Radical. The Radical is written and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Listener questions can be emailed to us at theradicalpodnc@gmail.com.
Our Instagram is The Radical Pod.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music.